Hey everyone, my name is Adrian and welcome to this Power BI tutorial on how to set up your own time dimension. Has this ever happened to you? You plug in your date column into your visual and Power BI automatically makes up this date hierarchy for you. Now, don't get me wrong, this has its time and place and it's very useful for drill down operations. But if you're like me and want something a little bit more particular, or maybe your company has a specific format that they want for their dates, then a custom time dimension is your best bet. But what exactly is a time dimension or a date dimension? It's just a fancy way of saying it's another table that takes your dates and formats it into segments of your liking. So you end up with things like so. As you can see here, I have another visual, another table with some of the custom date segments that I have. So, for example, for the 4th of July, you can see I have corresponding segments for the first date of the month. Some companies like to report it like this instead of just having the name of the month. Or maybe your company reports dates by week. So you have here first date of the week, which for me is a Monday. So you have here for the 4th of July, it's Monday is the 1st of July, and for the 7th, sorry, the 9th of July, you have the 8th of July as the Monday of that week. And maybe you want weeks by week number. So for 2013, the 4th of July was actually the 27th week of 2013. And there's tons of other ways you can play around with this, and I'm going to teach you how to set it up. Great. So your data set probably has a main date column. For example, in mine, I have the orders table and it houses the order date column, which as you can see here, and you want to be able to segment that. So let's get into modeling and construct our date dimension by clicking on new table. So let's make a date dimension off of the available dates we already have in our data set. And um, in this file, I already have a date dimension named dimDate. I'm just going to make dimDate 2. And we're going to call on calendar, the calendar function, which takes in two arguments, the start and the end date. And this returns a table with those dates and everything in between. So I want to be able to take that um, earliest date of the date column that I have, which is order date, and the latest one from that very same column. And let's see. Now let's go to table view. Great. Now we've set up our new time dimension. Now, what I want you to remember from this point is that once you have that date in a separate table, you can start playing around with this and creating new columns based off of this one column. Now, what do I mean? So click on the column that you have and click on the new column button and play around with it. So, for example, you want year, maybe just put in the year function and put in that dimension date column, and you have the year for this time dimension. But your company probably doesn't take in year like this or doesn't want to see year like this. Maybe they want to see it in a date format, right? So what you can do is create another column and call it year or however you prefer. In a string that says 1 because it's the first date of the year, and ampersand year and that same date column. But wait a minute, this is going to come back as a text So I probably want to put everything under date value. And it comes back as a entirely new column where it's in the date format, but rather than returning the respective date, it returns the first date of the year. So the philosophy is just turn this date, call out some functions or some strings that would convert it into a different segment. So before we go even further, I just want to point out that you can format these dates however you prefer with this format drop down in the column tools. So as you can see, it's now in the short date format as opposed to the general date format from previous. And just select whichever you prefer, right? Now, you take the philosophy that I told you about earlier, rinse and repeat it until you get something like this. Now, this is overkill, and not every date dimension has to be this complex. But if you're working for a big company, it's always good to be prepared because some people could be using your data set and they may have a certain preference. Now, as you can see here, I constructed this column, which has the year and the week number of which this date falls upon. So for July the 4th, it's week 27 in 2013. As you can see here, I just used various functions, year, utilized some strings until I got what I wanted, quarter year, which takes that same method, date ID, first date of the year, last day of the year, first day of the quarter, and however you prefer. It's as easy as that. Just getting that date and then pushing it through some functions and some strings, and then you get what you want. So you can ask ChatGPT for help, or you can check some forums on how to get what you want. As I said, all of the things that you've seen here, I'll be posting in the description or in the comments. Great, and that was the video. I hope you learned something. I hope you found it insightful and you're going to apply it on your current project or your next one. Stay tuned for more Power BI tutorials or other analytics tutorials. Thanks.